So the next type of logo we're going to create is a geometric logo. So I'm going to start by, it's going to have the same theme, which is Isaac's Grocery Store, and they're going to use a mountain. So I'm going to start by placing a picture of mountain in the background. Go back to the same mountain range. Here we go. Now what makes a geometric, or sometimes called low poly logo, is that it's made up of lots of simple shapes, not just one or two simple shapes, but lots of them. So I'm going to start by making a triangle shape. As you recall, luckily, because I've already worked on one low poly, that it's already set up for triangles. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use layers for this. So I'm going to make a new layer that all of my triangles can be placed on. I'm going to move those triangles. I'm going to lock the background layer in place so it doesn't accidentally get moved. Then I'm going to hold Command key and click on the icon to toggle my second layer into outline mode. That way I can see the outlines of the shape and still see the shape underneath it. So I'm going to start by making this a very large triangle. Remember, I can always cut it down later. And I'm just going to create more and more triangles to represent so actually create one or two more triangles, and then we're going to split those triangles apart. You might notice that even though I am kind of using the background as a guide, I'm not trying to perfectly match it. I feel like that's really a flaw. If you ever try to if you're ever using image as inspiration, you shouldn't try to copy the image exactly, because you're an artist. So part of what's making this interesting is making your own decisions about where things go and how things overlap. If you're going to copy the image exactly and try to make a recreation of the image, that's what your image trace function in Illustrator is for. When you're tracing over something, you should be making adjustments and making it look different than the original image. So here are my three mountains. So I've got three mountains, like the number 3. It's a multitude of reasons what 3 has things represent. Next thing, I want to start to cut this apart. And I'm just drawing lines to separate out these different parts of the mountain. See this mountain. Just to not crazy about that angle, so no, actually, I was just about to give up on it, and then I stumble upon something that I actually really do like. So you might notice that I am using as I draw these lines, I'm waiting until the program tells me that I'm in the right spot where my lines are going to touch a path or intersect a path that already exists, and that's where I'm clicking. I'm not just clicking randomly anywhere. I'm choosing spots and then choosing to make them already overlap lines that previously exist. In fact, as I start to draw this, I'm going to decide that I don't want the second and third mountain. Instead, I'm just going to create one peak that has lots of detail. Or some would, I shouldn't say lots of detail, but the amount of detail I'm looking for. Okay. Something just happened there that I want to talk to you about, which is when I drew my first shape, I'll repeat it, kind of went from a line and drew up to a stopping point. When I got ready to draw my next line, you notice that it doesn't want to draw from that point. It wants to move the point that I just drew. So if I start from the path and draw to that point, it'll allow me to draw the next line. Just something to think about. The order in which you draw the lines can sometimes make it easier or harder on yourself. I'm looking at this, and this is having the look that I kind of wanting, so I'm getting close to being finished. I could continue to draw more lines, but I don't think I need them. I always try to keep in mind that I'm creating logos, and logos by their very definition should be simple. So I'm going to hide the background and look at this mountain again. This all looks good. I'm not so sure whether this isn't too simple, so I'm going to turn the background back on and add a few more lines to maybe lower the simplicity just a little bit. I don't think all these lines intersected, so I'm zooming in using my direct selection tool. I'll move half of that line, move this line so that it intersects. And let's do 3 more lines at the first, cutting this apart. Let's see, about 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not doing 3 lines, I'm doing more than 3 lines. So I should have known it was going to be more than 3 lines as soon as I said that out loud. But all right, so we're going to turn that off. Looks pretty good. Like that. This section, I'm actually going to make couple adjustments. I'm going to leave this section blank. I kind of like having one big section that's completely blank. Then make sure that all the other lines are intersecting. That one can't seem to get to intersect, so I'm going to zoom in more. Whenever you're having trouble with something, getting it to be the spot you want it to be in, don't ever be afraid of zooming in or zooming out. So I'm looking at this, it is not wanting to snap to the spot I like it to snap to. It may not matter. If I go out of outline mode, I may notice that. Zoom out. Select all these shapes, remove the interior color, move the fill, and give the strokes black, and then turn it off of outline mode. And then zoom in to see if it even matters that these aren't quite. Yes, it does matter ever so slightly. So if you find that you can't quite move something to the point you want it to, you can go to View and turn off Snap to Pixel, turn off Snap to Anything, so you know that nothing is going to snap. You can just move it to wherever you want it to be, and then move it to the spot you want it. I usually leave some of these snap to guides and snap to glyphs and snap pixels because most of the time I find those helpful, but every so often they are not. Sometimes they just stop it for me to put in the point or the spot that I want them to be in. Because I did most of this using the snap to options, I'm going to make my corrections without them on. Alright. So now let's think about, so now my low poly shape is completed. So now, turn my background back on, you can unlock it and move my background shape out of the way. Alright. So now I can think about what colors I'm going to use for this mountain. I'm not going to use the colors from this mountain right here because this is for grocery store. So I'm going to use colors that I think are appropriate for a grocery store. Colors from nature, lots of greens, maybe blues, maybe some brighter colors. I'm thinking about the produce section of a grocery store. So I'm going to use the live paint bucket. First I'm going to select this entire shape and then use the live paint bucket and start to fill in with different colors of blue. Now even though I'm not using the same colors, I might look at my mountain as inspiration about which colors should be bright and which colors should be dark. But I'm also might just go with a gut feeling of which one looks the best. There's no real right or wrong about this. So I like those. I'm going to add in some darker areas below. Add in a third color green to fill those in. All right. Feeling good about this mountainside. But now we have all these shapes. I don't really feel like I like the black stroke, so I'm going to turn this stroke to be white. I'm going to increase it, thickness of it just a little bit. That's going to give some negative space separating out these different shapes. Okay. So again, I think I'm going to make a vertical logo. In fact, I'm going to take this rendition of Isaac's Grocery Store. I'm just going to copy it and place it right here. Have that be the one that I use. And to help it kind of go with the rest of it, I'm going to use some of the same colors that I've already used in the rest of my logo. So instead of filling it with black, I'm going to have it be dark green. And this bottom part be a lighter green. Actually, I think I'm going to leave this bottom part black. Yeah, so that is my geometric or low poly logo for Isaac's Grocery Store.